Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Carmen McGuinness. For those of you who are new to this channel, I have a regular Sunday segment in which I discuss topics on relationships of all sorts, including the relationship we have with ourselves, what I call the primary relationship. Sometimes I also have a midweek segment when there's a burning topic that I just can't leave hang till Sunday, but you will always see me here on Sundays. So thank you for stopping by. Today our topic is going to be why psychological presence and how to do it. And psychological presence, I should explain, is synonymous with what is being called in the popular media mindfulness. So today we're going to explore the concept of psychological presence, what it is, why to do it, and what gifts it brings. And I'm going to talk quite a lot about how to do it. In my practice, I almost always teach these things to my clients. My experience is that often they've been exposed either through another therapist or life coach, a yoga or mindfulness class, or through the internet to one or two of these ideas, but not to all three. They might have learned what mindfulness or psychological presence is. They might have even been told some of the benefits of it, but they haven't necessarily been told how to do it. That is the piece that I find is most often left out. They may want to do it, but feel frustrated and insecure because they don't know how to do it. And this can leave us feeling like there's this carrot that we can't achieve, right? Like there's this wonderful, amazing thing that's out there that I keep hearing about that other people seem to be able to do and I can't do, which leads to frustration and insecurity. And there's just enough of that in the sociosphere. So I thought I would deal with this topic today and get this out there so that my viewers can start practicing this if they would like to. So this is definitely something you can do. It's easy to understand. Anyone can learn to do it. I teach it to children. I teach it to children and adults with disabilities. I teach it to all sorts of people. So the benefits will become obvious once you know how to do it and once you know what it is the benefits are, what to expect from psychological presence. So today we're going to discuss all three of these things, what it is, what gifts it brings, and how to do it. A brief disclaimer first, and that is that this is not a comprehensive course in mindfulness or in meditation, but rather it's a starter class in psychological presence. So first of all, let me tell you that you do not have to meditate to learn this practice. You don't have to sit in Sukhasana, the seated yoga pose with the legs uncomfortably crossed, or even attend a single yoga class to be able to do this. Although psychological flexibility is definitely one of the benefits of mindfulness, you don't have to empty your mind of all thoughts to do this. I personally don't even believe that that's necessarily possible. I think it's an illusion that our mind is empty of thoughts when we are in a meditative state. I think that the brain is a thinking machine and it's almost or impossible to do that. And you don't have to be alone. In fact, one of the greatest gifts of psychological presence is connectedness to others. So being present with other people is possible while you're doing this. So let's begin. What is psychological presence? Quite simply, it is now. I've adopted an acronym for the word now, which helps some of my clients remember what psychological presence is. And I'll just go through it with you now. And before the end of our talk today, we will have gone through the whole, right through the Y. The W. So N-O-W, now. Not yesterday, the N. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. That's what the N stands for. The O is representative of only today. So we have N, not yesterday, not tomorrow. O, only today. And the W is representative of the 5 W questions. What, where, who, when, and why. So now often I get resistance right here at this point. As soon as I mention now, some clients will kick up some dust. And I just want to say that they tend to be the people who need now the most. They argue that what they learned in the past is important to who they are now, what they do now, and that they need to have an eye on the future to be the architects. This is what one client said to me, the architect of my own future. And you know what? I couldn't agree more. I'm not going to argue with any of that, but I will say that there's a different way of thinking about it, a different way of looking at it that might be more productive. Your past is part of your now. In other words, you have it already right here. You don't have to go back and revisit it. It happened. It's an integral part of you. It's wrapped up in you. You learned the lessons. So when you stay focused in the past, you actually fragment that empowered you who exists today, who learned all those lessons, has that past wrapped up in their present, in their now. You fragment him into yesterday and today. And by doing so, you actually empower the past and weaken the you that exists today. So we see that the past is part of a package that is now. You lived through it, you learned all those lessons, and you took them into yourself. They are part of who you are. So you don't need the past. You've got it. It's in you. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to relive it or allow it to suck the air out of our now, steal our now from us. In fact, by staying present, we give the past permission to work its lessons in our present moments, in our now. I often find with clients that staying stuck in the past is the result of not knowing what happened in particular situations. Why did she cheat? Why did he lie to me? Why did someone die at such a young age? What happened that led to the downfall of my business? These are questions that may never be answered. Sometimes we simply don't know. That's the reality. Sometimes we will never know the answer to questions. But what we always do know is the lessons. What we always do have is the lessons that we learned. So a good question is, what does that mean about me? Not how did it affect me, this horrible thing in the past, or what did it mean to me? Those are things that happened at me. But instead, what does it mean about me? How did I process it? And what does that say about me? That we take forward, this is what we take forward with us. What it means about me is what we take forward. So when we surrender to that, to not always knowing what happened or needing the details, we open our hearts to those lessons that become part of who we are now. So N is for not yesterday, but it's also for not tomorrow. So let's talk about that not tomorrow part right now. Let's talk directly to that viewer who needs to have an eye on tomorrow. The one who says he wants to be the architect of his own future. And again, I don't disagree with that. But I'm asking you directly, how many great architectural works or anything else of value were created, constructed in the future? Think about it. You have a project of any sort. It's an idea. The idea is happening when? It's happening now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. And that idea is what you have power over right now. You may work on it tomorrow, but when you do, it won't be tomorrow anymore. It will be now. It'll be the new now. It'll be the nowest now. It'll be your nowest now that ever was up until that point. So we see tomorrow never actually comes. It becomes. And what it becomes is now. Tomorrow is always, always uncertain. It is never unknown. It is only a possible new now. We can, in the past, plan for it, envision it. We can, in the present, plan for it and envision it, imagine it. But to worry about it, to live in it, only sucks away the power we have to do so, because that power is right now. So let's take this into a real scenario. And since this channel is about relationships, and many of my viewers and clients come to me because they have relationship problems of the romantic nature, let's choose a juicy scenario, a fun one. Let's imagine that you have a date coming up with a new lover. And the date has been planned for some time. Let's say that you're both really busy. So the date and the time were carefully discussed and chosen. You're super excited. You plan what you're going to wear, what you're going to do. You're going to maybe grill some shrimp out by the pool, and then maybe have a swim if the weather's nice, and sip some wine, and then maybe have some after dinner chit chat. And of course, during all of this, there's going to be lots of flirting and maybe some close encounters. And then if the mood and the moment is right, perhaps some lovemaking. I'm going to stop there. This is not an X-rated channel. I'm not going to go into any details. But if you were planning this date, you might plan out exactly what's going to happen, where it's going to happen, what time it's going to happen, what you're going to wear when it happens, not wear when it happens, etc. So when is this all happening, all this planning? It's happening now, right? You are planning a future now in the present now. You're fully grounded in the now that is happening right now. And you remain open to the uncertainty of the future now. Keeping your heart open to what we call psychological flexibility. To the possibility of a different now than the one that you're actually planning. The things might go slightly different. So, we see that we honor the past and present by living in the now. N, not yesterday, not tomorrow. So that's what it is. That's what psychological presence is. Now let's discuss how to do it a little bit. And we'll go through the O and the W of my NOW acronym as we do. We'll stay with our example of the lovely date that we're planning in our minds. As I move through my talk, if you could just hold that example in mind. So in mindfulness practice, while we're doing this planning, we use sensation to keep us in the present moment. I choose the word sensation rather than simply talking about the senses, because there are so many sensations that are so much more than just the 5 senses. Yes, we have sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch, and yes, these do keep us grounded. As we plan our future nows, we stay grounded in our present now by seeing the world around us, by smelling the world, the environments that we create. We see them, we smell them, we touch them, our decor, our art, the plants that we plant, how they smell. All of that keeps us grounded. And even the people that we share our now with, their presence helps keep us grounded. We hear them, we smell them, we taste what we eat, chewing slowly, enjoying each bite of food, each bite of life. We touch our now, noticing intricate details of it, the feel of our hands on life. Think of all that you touch every single day and never even notice. Noticing all of this is what keeps us here and now, grounded in the present, allows us to fully enjoy each now. But there's more. There's so much more. More sensation that we miss because we're caught up in a past over which we no longer have control, and which is already within us anyway. As I mentioned earlier, we needn't fragment ourselves by staying focused in it. We have all that within us. Or we're lost in worry over a future that hasn't even happened and may never happen. Sensations we rarely enjoy and often surrender or suffer from when conditions aren't perfect. For instance, the feel of your bottom on a chair right now, just wherever you are sitting. If you're sitting, Notice how your bottom feels on the chair. This is something that you usually don't do unless you're suffering, unless you've become uncomfortable in some way. So notice that. If you're standing, notice your feet on the ground, keeping you upright. Notice what a small amount of space it is that your feet have to touch, that little bit of space, and yet you're upright, you're erect. And notice what it feels like to be erect, what it feels like in your body to hold yourself erect. These are sensations that we rarely enjoy and often only suffer from. Another example, the temperature. Notice the temperature. Notice the temperature not because it's too cold or too warm, but just because it is. And that it's part of your now. Honor that. Honor it as part of right now. Honor yourself by noticing it. Notice yourself noticing it. Honor the moment, the now, by bringing it all together into this tiny point of light in time that is your now. If you're outside, notice the way the air moves across the grass, or how it moves through the sights and sounds of the city if you find yourself in a city. Notice the smell of it, the sound of it. Pick up any recurring sounds, any patterns that they might create. Take in as much of this particular moment, this now, as you can. Fill yourself with. And then notice you within it. Notice you noticing you. Notice that you are at the center of this moment, that it exists through your eyes. This is your now. If there are others present, notice them as well. Take a moment, look around, make eye contact, but maintain your own presence, your own now as you do. But also notice that they are part of your now and you are part of theirs. Even you and I, through the internet, share this moment. Somewhere around 6,000 to 8,000 people are or will share this moment with me, unless it goes viral and there's more, through the magic of technology. I'm aware of you out there now, and you will be aware of me when you view this. Sensation. Notice any part of your body, any part where you feel something. Maybe your knee where your pants touch it, or your hair brushing against your shoulders. Anything like that. Notice it right now. It keeps you present. Keeps you now. Now notice the sensation of your breath moving in and out of your body. Breath is an important part of mindfulness. It's something you can use every single time you feel yourself slipping into a past or a present over which you have no control. Be mindful of the pace of your breath and slow it slightly. Take deeper breaths through your nose, filling your lungs from the bottom up, just as you would one of those long balloons that balloon artists use to make lovely animal shapes and flowers. Now exhale through pursed lips. The lips slow the pace of the air leaving your body, allowing you to experience each molecule of air as it goes out of you. Now with your next breath, imagine what's happening in your body, the air filling each cell, breathing life and existence into you, filling you with infinite nows. And as you exhale through pursed lips, imagine the air collecting everything you don't need, everything that no longer serves you, and taking it away out of you, out into the universe to be cleaned up and made new again. And as you do this last part, be careful not to get swept away with what no longer serves you. You don't have to identify it. You don't have to give it a name or an emotional label. Just let it go. And when you do get caught up in those thoughts of the past or the future, and you will, because we all do, I do, don't try to push them away. In my experience of teaching psychological presence, it's that pushing away that actually sucks us in. Think of it. Two objects in space. When one pushes the other away, both lose their momentum. Each repels the other. Instead of pushing away, instead of holding close, whichever you tend to do, instead of either of those, simply hold it lightly and then let it go. I use visualization for this. And there are several that I really like, which I'll share a couple with you, and perhaps you'll borrow one from me or invent one of your own. You might have an idea about one while I'm talking through mine. So one for me is, I picture myself sitting on a porch, much like this porch, an old-fashioned kind of porch with picket fence. Only in my imagination, it's usually a white picket railing. There's a field of wheat out before me. I'm seated in a rocker, and I'm rocking, and there's a field of wheat. And as I think of these thoughts, they move like wind through the wheat until they just blow out of sight. And I'm still there in my now on that porch. And another one I use is I imagine myself on the bow of a ship, or maybe a nice mid-sized sailboat, something I could afford maybe at some point in my life, plowing through the water. And as each thought appears in the waves or in the frothy white above the waves or the air above the waves, I just plow past it, leaving those thoughts behind me as I move forward through my now. In another one, I imagine fleeting thoughts as maybe like, say they're annoying or troubling thoughts, like worries or rumination about the past. I think of them as like crows just flying out of sight. Or if they're just bothersome daydream kind of thoughts, or I need to do this, need to do that thoughts, then I think of them as maybe seagulls, something not as scary and dark as crows. Or butterflies. If I'm having daydreams and I really need to stay present in my work, I might think of them as just butterflies flying out of my field of vision, leaving me here in my now. One of my greatest mentors is Dr. Stephen Hayes, the developer of acceptance and commitment therapy, and it's absolutely central to my practice. Steve speaks of the leaves in the stream, suggesting that we cast a leaf into the stream for each thought that takes us out of our present moment. Another that Steve uses is the chessboard analogy, instructing us that we are the chessboard, not the pawns upon it. And Steve tells us, be the chessboard. So there are some ideas of how to do mindfulness, how to stay fully present in the moment when your thoughts slip away from you into a past or a future that you cannot control. But now, why do mindfulness? What benefits are there to staying in the present? What benefits are there to owning your now? Well, let's return to our NOW acronym. We've covered the N, not yesterday, not tomorrow. And we've pretty much covered the O, only now. Next is the W, the what, where, when, who, and why of the NOW acronym. These are the answers to what you'll gain from being present in each moment. You'll be present with what you're doing. You'll be where you are enjoying each sensation. You'll have power when you can, which is always now. You'll be fully present with who you're with, emotionally available to them and to yourself when you're alone, when the big growth happens. And you'll know why. You'll experience such a sense of self and of connectedness that you'll know why you do everything you do. Everything will become purposeful. Answers will pour into your heart as easily as your next breath. Your relationships will flourish. Your work or life's work will prosper. You'll gain renewed vitality. Answers that seemed blocked before will become evident. Mindfulness has been associated with increased sense of self, sense of well-being, improved health and longevity, increased self-esteem, increased reports of relationship satisfaction, sexual satisfaction, and self-efficacy. For me personally, being present in each moment allows me to find a particular rhythm. Some people refer to this as energy, or an energy field, or a vibration that attracts into their life the things and people that they need and want. For me, it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm that I emit, that grows from inside of me, that allows me to attract the people and things in my life that I need and want, and allows me to let go of what no longer serves me. In closing, I want to share with you that I've practiced mindfulness of one sort or another since 1986. I do consider myself a Buddhist. I've studied with Buddhist monks, with yogis, with other psychologists, with people who call themselves masters, and various enlightened souls of all sorts. But I'm human. I'm not ascended in any way. My path has taken me away from the present moment many times in my life, many times since 1986. Sometimes, and recently, for months at a time, sometimes for over a year. But every time I've come back, these gifts, these things that we've talked about today, have been there for me. And that's the thought that I want to leave you with today, that you can choose. You can choose to stay at the very center of your power. You can choose to stay in your now. As the fortune cookie says, suppose you can get what you want. I bid you a happy and peaceful Sunday. It's your now. Go and enjoy it. And remember to breathe. And I will see you next Sunday. Thank you for stopping by.